So, if you would please introduce yourself, Matt, and tell us who you are and how long you've been sober.
Hi, my name is Matthew Gillespie. I've been using half of my life. I've been sober for the last 15 years. Well, I got sober on May 15th, 2012. I've done the methadone route. Didn't work for me because all it did was get me high as hell. So I said, I can't do this because this is worse than what I'm doing now. So my mother she found this medication called Suboxone when it first came out, and I was on it directly when it came out.
Wow.
And there was one doctor that got his license in the state of Arkansas. And so I had to go to one doctor until more got their licenses. So, but he was a cool doctor. He treated me well. And everything went good there. But then when I moved to Dallas, that was the best doctor I had. He was just a PCP, but he really focused on addiction and anxiety and stuff like that. And that's my biggest issues. Like, I've been on anxiety medication since I was 15, and then seizure medications have happened within the last 5 years, and I've been taken off that because I guess that's not allowed with recovery delivered. But regardless, the problem is going to continue to happen. It's the product is coming in from China, so they're just pressing it into pills here that look legit, and then or they'll come from Mexico. Yeah, the fentanyl, is it norfentanyl, or I don't know. There's so many out there now.
There are,
but I mean, they're mixing it with everything. It's even with weed.
Yeah, I watched a mother. There's two mothers. It was on Fox News. It was a couple months back, but they basically were talking about it and saying, my son died and he didn't do heroin and he didn't do pills. That wasn't his thing. Turns out he was doing blow, and they had laced his cocaine with fentanyl. And I went, that's counterproductive as hell. I mean, I don't want a downer and an upper. I want the up. That's why I'm taking the cocaine. I'm blowing lines because I want
Absolutely.
this, not this, right? It shows exactly what the problem is you don't know what you're getting anymore, no matter what you do. And when I was young and dumb, we'd get, cocaine from the Mexican dudes that lived in Phoenix with us, and it was all good to go. No big deal. Nowadays,
right.
You have no clue. No clue.
So, well, I can tell you one story from recent. It was last week. Here in New York City, two people bought what they thought was cocaine. It was straight fentanyl.
Oh.
And they both died. They overdosed and passed away immediately.
Awful.
So yeah, you don't know what you're getting. So
no,
I think that even though if I'm on Suboxone the rest of my life, it will have saved my life, gave me an opportunity to get my career back in order, my finances back in order, everything just going a lot smoother. And I actually feel a lot better just about daily life. So
good.
So I think, because I wanted to come down, and then when I come down, I get depressed, and then the cycle starts all over. So
yeah, right. It's secular, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to drop down, but probably not all the way.
Oh yeah, no. It's kind of the thing that when we built this company, I talked to everyone and said, okay, I have no interest in having like a very strict, it's a 6-month program, right? Or 8-month or 9-month or whatever. It needs to be patient-based, right? So the person is different. Every individual recovers different. Some need meetings to be successful. Some don't, right? Therapy is required for a lot of people, and others don't either, right? And the last 3 podcasts I've had, and you'll see them, they've all said, no, meetings were everything to me. Like I posted one today on TikTok that is literally, he said, get to meetings. It's really, really important. And others are like, I don't never had to. I just, Suboxone to everything. So to each their own, right? And so it's that idea of if you want to be on this forever, go for it. Whatever it takes not to use today is the goal. That's it. And if that is
Exactly.
Suboxone, if that's exercise, whatever, do it.
And like I see life coach, which she's my therapist, but it has nothing to do with drug use. We
Right.
talk about just daily life and
Yeah.
how to overcome trauma and things of that nature. But I mean, seeing like an NA meeting, and I'm not downing them because I mean it's worked for many people
Sure.
or AA, but and I'll never down somebody that is trying to regain their life, but
Right.
it just doesn't work for me that way.
Sure.
So this is the
Everybody's
way
different.
I'm doing it.
So I want to start with you on the beginning of stuff, right? So way long ago, when you decided to get sober, what were the biggest challenges in that beginning? Say first couple weeks, first couple months. What was the biggest issues you faced at that point?
Okay, so I was a functional abuser. So I would take, 400 milligrams of oxycodone at work and work all day long. And then I'd take 350 micrograms of fentanyl at night.
Oh my
And I'd
goodness!
be going. Yeah, I should be dead, but I was going.
Oh, the
But
Lord has a
I made
plan
a
for you,
lot.
man. Oh
Yeah,
man,
I made a lot of money, but that's what it was for because we were doing we were working for a law firm out of New York City. I was in Dallas, and they said if you can work for this firm out of New York City after hours, we'll pay you, triple time. And I was like, can't pass that up.
yeah,
So here
yeah.
comes, I need something else. And I can't do
Ah,
uppers because of my anxiety. So, and then here, and then my mom, she was a cancer patient and I feel horrible about it. But, um, there went some of her fentanyl strips, but then I
sure.
get them on the street. But I mean, getting them on the street wasn't like getting them now. Like, I don't know if you could even get real fentanyl on the street.
Probably not. There's too much
But yeah,
coming
it
from
was a
outside
rough
the U.S.
journey.
Yeah,
So oh yeah, for sure. And then when I started detox, like when I had had enough, I was done, and my mom was there. She said, "I'm here," and she's sick from chemo, but she was like, "I'm here. I'll support you in any way I can." So I said, "Just leave me alone. I
mm,
need to be left alone because I cannot, like, I am cold, I'm hot, I'm throwing up. I just need to be left alone." So she'd come in and check on me and everything. And then that's when she found the Suboxone program and she got me in. And since they first started out, it was a new brand and a new medication. So they had a discount plan if you didn't have a job. So my
mhm.
mom said, "Quit your job right now because this medication is like
Oh yeah.
$8 or $10 a pill."
Yep. Back then,
So
yeah.
she said, "Quit." She said, "Quit your job right now." She said, "But try and get let go." So I got let go, got unemployment, and then got on the train and wrote out the Suboxone therapy. And I did that for 2 years. It was paid for completely in full. And then when it went generic, I just used my good RX card and paid for it that way.
So how in those beginning phases, right? Did you have any triggers, so to speak, during that first initial, say, 3 months of using Suboxone that you had to kind of like deal with and then get over?
Um, Not really. You know what? And I think it's kind of weird to say because I think most people do. I didn't really have any triggers. I just felt bad about what I had done.
Ah,
So I don't think I had any triggers per se, but I had a lot that I felt like I needed to make amends with, and I wasn't ready yet.
sure, sure. Makes sense.
So I'm still working on
So
that.
it was more the the history and the emotional aspect of it for you than it was anything else.
Exactly. Yep.
Yep. What what strategies do you currently, and even in the beginning phases of your recovery, what strategies did you use and found to help you prevent you from a relapse?
Exercise. I exercised a lot. I hated it, but I did it. So I exercised a lot. I bought an emotional support animal, so he's sitting right next to me. I don't know if you can see him,
Oh
but
my goodness.
he he literally will stick by my side through anything. He because I have seizures, and so I get it because of that. So since I got the the doctor to write a letter and get him to get the letter and then get him certified, now I'm able to take him anywhere, and it's just been a blessing. But yeah, it was a lot of just facing having to face the truth about what I had done and
Sure.
knowing that I was functioning, and I was thinking, Mom, I'm making more money than you and your husband combined. But the way I'm doing it is not correct. I understand that.
Right.
But a lot of people get like dependency and addiction confused, way confused. She was dependent because she had to be on pain medicine. I was just an
Got
addict.
it.
I didn't need to
Got
be
it.
on anything.
That line between you using the medication as prescribed versus, hey, this shit's fun.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And then so
What?
now I take my Suboxone every day, and I take it as prescribed, and I took my anxiety medicine as prescribed until she took it away. So she said I could take it. I just had to find a new doctor. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. She can't write that script. So, what advice would you give for someone who's currently struggling with opioid addiction when it comes to making the choice to go down this path?
I would definitely consider it over methadone because I think methadone's harder to come off of, and I think it has a lot of side effects, and there's a lot of people that are using it the wrong way and selling their take home. Like
Ah,
that used to be is still a thing. They'll go across the parking lot and sell their take homes. Um, and so I think using Suboxone, it stabilizes out your body to where you like. I don't even know that I've taken it. Like some days I'll go a day without even realizing I haven't taken it, unless I get to hurting, and that's when it really kicks in at night.
mhm.
So, but yeah, going down this path, I think it's actually the best way to recover. I don't think you can do it on your own. And
Yeah, no, I mean
I mean,
it's
some people do good in like inpatient settings, but I couldn't. I like that wouldn't work for me because I'd run out the door.
right, right. That's a lot of people that I mean, there are great inpatient centers across the country. I've been in the recovery business for 12 years, and I've worked with a lot of great facilities. Shout out to Sabina Recovery in Tucson. They're phenomenal. What they do out there from a mental health perspective is just mind blowing. It's incredible. There's quite a few in Arizona that I'm familiar with that I really enjoy, but that aspect, if it's not done correctly, right? If it is a glorified 12-step program, 6-bed Costa
Exactly.
Mesa house that they rented, like it literally is just a money play for them. And there's a lot of them, right? And it's kind of, and I say this to everyone at home, if you're looking at doing something in residential because you feel as though you need the residential care, make sure they have an actual program and verify the providers that are there, the psychologists, psychiatrists, clinical social work. Make sure that all that's there. It's not just some dude who owns a house with 6 beds in it and is charging you 20 grand a month. That's not treatment. And your insurance company will hate you for it.
Absolutely, because Yeah, exactly. And in our group, we were allowing places at first to advertise, and then I was like, hold up, I'm vetting every one of these.
Yeah.
So I would call and ask questions, and it all sounded off, and
Hmm.
all of them were in Florida. I'd only
Oh,
called
yeah.
Florida,
Yeah.
and I was like,
Florida's,
I was like, they are the relapse capital of the world. So now let me try Texas because I know a lot of drugs came from Houston.
hmm.
So I did the same thing. It wasn't the same response, but they wanted to charge double.
Yep.
So it was just a totally different thing.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. And when you have a success rate being sub 10% for 12-step facilities that aren't, real treatment. I mean, like you said, 12 steps are great. My mother has been sober for 20 years from alcohol because of AA, and it's a phenomenal program. But it is not a treatment by any stretch of the imagination. It is how to get new friends and how to take a deep dive inside and do personal inventory to figure out the issues that you have to work through to go through it. But it also gives you that surrounding of people who've been there, right? How do you go shoot pool as an alcoholic in a bar? I mean, that's
Right.
putting yourself in a huge negative position. So going out with guys who are already sober, who have 10, 15, 20 years, they can help you. And that new community, kind of like the community you've built on Facebook, when you have that, you can go there and you can get the questions that you have answered to someone new to recovery saying, how do I have to go to the grocery store and I went today and everything is selling Budweiser for the Super Bowl. Like it was a massive
Right.
trigger for a lot of people to see that shit. And how do you handle it? Right. Well, you pick up the phone is typically the answer, right? You call me is
Yeah.
what you do. Right. But it's that opportunity for people to have that. So were there like in your recovery, right? Because you say you're not a meetings guy. In your recovery, what is your support
Yeah.
system like and what have they done for you?
Um, so I'm seeing a therapist slash life coach. So she just helping me get over the traumas, and we're going through them one by one.
Mm-hmm.
And I book with her once every 2 weeks, and we have hour-long sessions, and we go through. She gives me homework that I have to fill out, things I don't want to do,
Yeah.
but it has to be the truth, because if it's not the truth, it's nothing's going to come of it. So um, then when we start talking, we go over everything, and she tells me, well, in this situation, you need to be doing this more, or this less, or I felt like since I live in New York City, my mind has changed a lot because now I'm able to just walk the streets and I feel free. When I was
Mm-hmm.
in Dallas, I didn't feel that way.
Oh, why do you think that is?
Um, just I feel safer here, to be honest, and it's weird because there's 19 million people in the metro, but
Right.
I just feel safer here, and there's so much to see and do, and there's so much architecture, and I love architecture, and I love taking photos, so I get out and do that, um, and then take the dog out, and then kind of jog around some, and that's kind of my
Nice.
routine.
That's nice. That's real nice. So, I want to stick with like the support system stuff for a second, just because I think it's a great opportunity to talk to you who runs a Facebook group that provides so much value for so many people. For yourself, what's the value for you there as it pertains to your recovery? And then what do you see the most value is in the group for others that come in? I mean, I'm an admin, so I see a lot of it. But for you personally, since you started it, what's the big thing there for both sides, right? Yourself and the people joining that community.
So to begin with, for the admin team, I wanted someone that had abused. I don't care if they were poly substance abusers. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted someone that had abused every single drug.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew I had opiates under control, baby. So I was handling that, but I like cocaine. My anxiety wouldn't allow it. So I needed someone that likes stimulants. I needed someone that, you know, really was hard off on heroin because I'd never done heroin. It was always pharmaceutical. It's the same thing. I mean, heroin was a pharmaceutical drug at one point.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, you know, they still make methamphetamine prescriptions.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's cocaine
Yeah,
in every ER. Yeah.
well, I know there's like Adderall that's like amphetamine salts, but there's like methamphetamine,
Yeah. Actual
and
meth. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I picked it up for my fucking my attorney, and I was like, "That's how you're getting your case done." Because he was always, and he was mixed. He got when I picked up his scripts, it was Valium, it was methamphetamine, and then Suboxone, and I'm like, I'm not really understanding. And he got like pain medication, opioids. So I
Oh
wasn't
my
understanding.
word.
He was going to some shady doctor, I don't know,
Clearly.
but
Yeah. Right. All those. Yeah. That's.
and that wasn't a Walgreens that filled it either. So
Yeah.
it was somebody he
Yeah.
knew, and someone knew that he was an attorney and would fill it. So,
Yep.
but
That's.
yeah, pertaining to the group, so I wanted to build a foundation. We went through admins left and right just because they either can't handle it or they don't have the time that they volunteered that they said they would, because we have a questionnaire that we asked before, and they just, I guess, lie on it because, or they end up realizing they can't handle it. So right now we have a couple people out for legitimate reasons, but we have a few in that, you know, can help out. So we're doing pretty good, but it helped me actually helping other people because I feel like helping them recover helps me recover, because I learn things every day that I didn't know. And like a lot of it, I will know. And so when I give the advice, I only give advice that I know is a fact, because I'm not spreading any false information. If it's not like every we have recovery resources for the USA and UK, and they all come from like the CDC or the, you know, some organization that is funded from the federal government that, you know, will back up what they say. So that's worked out well, and that's been a driving force. And so we've been pushing Recovery Delivered. I was wondering if I got somebody. I was like worried about that, but yeah,
Not
I'm
worried
trying to
about
get
that.
more people on it because it's like no, but I am, because I think it's the easiest thing I've ever had to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the cheapest way out if you don't have insurance.
That's
Because
why I
I
built
called
it.
a doctor here, they wanted $1,000 an appointment.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
$1,000 an appointment, and then I have to pay for my medication.
Yeah. On top of it. Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, it's when Dave and I started this back in 2019. That was like the big thing that he and I both saw was recovery is insanely expensive. Like everyone always thought that it's inpatient. You know, you go to a house in
yes,
Malibu, you play with a horse with a fucking pool noodle, you get a massage, and you sit by the pool, and that's treatment. And it's 110 grand to go do it. Or you go someplace in Costa Mesa that's 15 grand, and you basically sit in a house that's monitored and you do groups all day and they drug test you 12 times a day, and that's about it, right? And then you have IOP and
right,
PHP, and you have all these other
yep,
options. It's like, well, for those that just are on opioids, and for the vast majority of our population, it's people who are in active addiction, but it's also people whose doctors did not give them a step down from their pain medication from an injury. A
absolutely.
lot
They
of
cut
them.
them off because
Yeah.
the DA scared them.
Yep. And that's
And
exactly
I
what happened to
think
my best friend.
it all stemmed from the doctors prescribing it, but whoever ordered them or told them to go by the pain scale 1 through 10, that was not the right approach because everyone that's in pain is going to think they're in massive pain when
Yep.
it could be a 2, but they're going to say it ain't, and they're going
Absolutely.
to get Dilaudid or something, you know, and, you
Yep.
know, they don't understand that. But when years went by, then the doctors, I think, started to understand it a little more, hopefully.
The good
But
ones.
the patients knew the game. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The patients.
So
You know real quick. I mean, it's it's the sad part is that the patients know, right? So I've been in immense pain. I had a kidney transplant. I was on dialysis, and I've done all that stuff. And they tried to write me scripts for Percocet and Oxy and all that. I was like, no, I don't. Look, in the hospital, do what you want to. And I tell every parent this when I talk to parents and kids about getting a treatment and all that kind of stuff. I'll tell the parents because they always ask. I don't get it. Have you ever had an opioid in your life? No. Then you don't get it. It feels fucking amazing, and that's the problem.
absolutely.
Is it makes you feel normal when you have pain, and then when you don't have pain, it puts you on a cloud. And so, of course, you're going to want to keep
Absolutely.
doing that. Like that third drink at night that you have a bourbon. Yeah, there's a reason you drink that drink. And it's not, because it tastes delicious. No, you're feeling good and it's livening you up a little bit and you feel it.
Right.
Alcohol is just like a drug like Oxycontin or heroin. It's not the same, but it's still a drug. It alters your mind. It makes you feel a
Right.
different way and
Right.
all that kind of stuff. Same concept. It's just your son has gone to Oxycontin versus vodka. And that's the only difference. It's really interesting to have these
Right.
conversations with people.
Yeah, it is. And that's why I was worried about my benzos because I had been on 4 milligrams of Xanax and 4 milligrams of Klonopin my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Well, half of my life. And she weaned me down for I think 3 months, and then I came completely off, but I'm still having panic attacks, so I'm gonna have to deal with that with another doctor, I guess.
Yeah, I can give you a referral for that.
I don't know.
There's a bunch. So I want to talk to you because you're so into the MAT side, right? And just like Nicole
Yes.
from Discovering Nicole, shout out to Nicole.
Yes.
Are there like specific misconceptions about opioid addiction or recovery from opioids that you want to address and clarify?
I think that a lot of people, like on the recovery side, they are either you do nothing, or if you're on maintenance drugs, then you are using. You are an opiate addict. You are still using opiates. But read the literature. I mean, they work. Now, I can't say that about methadone because it's a full opioid agonist, but
Mhm.
Suboxone's partial opioid agonist, so it just makes your brain feel like it's full, and it's not. And that's what works. And I think they mastered that drug.
Mm-hmm.
But there's been a lot of negativity with pharmaceutical companies making, after it became generic, they made side pharmaceutical companies to make generic Suboxone to profit off the opiates they already sold.
That they already sold. Yeah, agree with that. Yeah, that was. They're businesses for a reason.
Yep.
What advice would you give someone who is currently struggling with opioid addiction?
First of all, you have to admit it to yourself. So once I admitted it to myself, I wrote down, and I just made a list of the drugs that I took that day, because I took them every day, so there was no skipping pages. So, and then I wrote down how many of them I took. Well, I did that, and then did the math, and I about died.
Really?
I can't believe I didn't die.
Yeah. No.
Because I was on all I was on all of that with the Xanax and the Klonopin. So,
Oh my word. Jeez,
but
Matt.
I know. And then
They should
my
study your
mom,
body.
I know. And then my mom, when she was going through cancer, she wouldn't want to see me in withdrawal because in Louisiana, there's not a lot of providers.
Right.
Or they're way too expensive. You can't go see them and get your script. So she got fentanyl. She said, I'm gonna wear it for two days. It'll last another day, and then I'll put the new one on, and you can have the third day. And so we did it that way.
Smart.
But that was only until I could get to a Suboxone doctor. And then she was like, "So when are you going back to Dallas? Because that's where your doctor is." And I said, "I'm going soon." And she was like, "Okay, because I'm only going to do this for so long." And I was like, "Okay, I understand." And so that's what we did.
That's excellent.
And
Now,
I
a lot of people, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Matt, but a lot of people worry when they get off opioids of that withdrawal, of that aspect of the process of recovery. It's very scary for a lot of people. What would you say to them after taking OxyContin and being around MAT for so long? What would you tell them about that process?
so if you're asking like just coming off and then going on to an MIT program, is that what you're
Correct.
asking?
Yep.
Okay. Coming off, unless it's methadone, I don't think you're going to have any issues at all. It'll be a smooth transfer. You're just not going to be high. You've got to train your brain not to be high, like not to feel like you have to be high, because it's a lot of mental. You have to be mentally stable to be able to conduct life and be able to be sober. Otherwise, you're going to relapse, and that's why I relapsed so many times. But when I started seeing a therapist and explaining these things to me and writing down tasks and making me do things that I didn't want to do, but did anyway, that was the way that I actually feel like I have recovered. And I think it's scary when you think about it because you're coming off of strong narcotics, but you have to realize, Suboxone's not a non-strong narcotic. It's on like the
Right.
top 10 list.
Yep.
So, it was number 5 at one point. I think it dropped to, I don't know. They've done so many and they're adding these illegal ones now. So I don't know where it's at now, but, it's very strong because I had taken it every day, and I'll tell you a story real quick. And I took it every day, and I took 16 milligrams. So a friend, we were hiking, he hurt his ankle. I gave him half of a pill, 4 milligrams. Luckily, and I can show you this. Luckily, I was fortunate enough to always carry Narcan, and I did it in every state I've ever lived in because when I lived in Louisiana, they handed them out, but they hand out bags of Narcan, and they come with the instructions, and then you get
Look at
2 of the
that.
Narcans, and it's free. And all you do is it's a quick website. You request how many you want, like how many packs you want. And I didn't know 2 came in a pack, so I wanted like I was trying to get 5. Well, I ended up getting 10 because there's 2 to a pack.
That's
And
awesome.
there's also there's like, and there's that's through New York City .gov and or something. But they're trying to help people out because they're trying to get people off the streets. They're trying to open more shelters. But how can they regulate these doctors that are overcharging? That's the thing. They
That's the
can't.
hard part because you can't regulate private business. That's kind of the entire purpose of the country when it comes to all that stuff. Is you run your company the way you want to, and that's kind of and you and I've talked about this before, right? But it's the idea of saying you don't need to spend that much money anymore. There are certain people that do need to do this in person. They need to have that personal touch to it that you may not get
Right.
with Recovery Delivered. Right? It's via your phone like we're doing this now. It can be you're not going to get as personal a touch as maybe your Dallas PCP doctor that you had that was there with you and working with you. Right? It's a little bit different,
Right.
but the opportunity is for $89 you can see a doctor, at least get your first script, and then it's $75 a week. So, at the most in the first month, you're going to pay $300 and you can do it on your phone. You don't got to take the subway anywhere. You don't have to deal with that. You don't have to be seen walking into a clinic. You can just do it at home and then go to your pharmacy, pick it up. And if you don't have insurance, we'll just mail it to you because then it's completely, your
Yeah.
drug testing is done at home and all that kind of stuff. So that's the whole point of it is this shit doesn't need to be expensive. The whole issue of people getting sober is the cost. That's the biggest barrier that we saw in all treatment across the board. And so this is, now that we're taking Medicaid in a lot of states, that aspect has changed it a lot. We don't have to pay anything.
Well, I mean, cost was always my issue because I would have to go to the pharmacy and say, I can only afford to buy 3 pills this day. To get me, a day and a half's worth. I'll come back when I can come up with the money to get, and they work with me because they know what the medication's for. And, so they were trying to help me. But that was, otherwise, if they wouldn't have been able to do that, there was no way I could have afforded to be on Suboxone at that time because it hadn't gone generic. Now, when they did the strips, they were sky high when they came out. Now, they've gone generic also. They're cheaper than the pills.
Yep. It's
I
gotten
can't
way
believe
less
that.
expensive. Now the expensive cost is seeing a doctor. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. And and the thing is, like, I don't have insurance, so my scripts are like $168. But compared to Dallas, I was paying $260 for the same amount for just the generic pills.
That's crazy.
And then the doctor's office, the fee was only $99, so that wasn't that bad. With Recovery Delivered, I like it a lot better because I had the option of choosing the time, choosing the date, and then trying to figure out. And then if I choose like a time that I know the pharmacy is going to be open, I know I'm going to have leftovers anyway. That's why I keep those couple leftovers because I know they'll be out. Number one, they're always either out, or number two, somebody just picked up the script. So they'll be out and they'll say, well, we're reordering it tonight. We can have it filled in the morning. And I said, well, can you please have that happen? And they do. So
that's good. That's really good. So let's talk about the future of things, right? So what are your hopes and goals for the future, both personally and in terms of like the broader change to how we treat addiction in this country?
Okay, so personally, I just want to be financially stable, mentally stable, and be happy. That's the 3 main things. It's very easy. When it comes to addiction, I think people need to get that are in power need to actually spend. Where's the money going? I want to know where the money is fucking going. Follow the money trail because I don't know where it's at.
Hundreds of billions of dollars, and we have no clue for
Where
addiction.
did it go?
For addiction, and no one has any idea.
Yeah, Sackler family.
Yeah, right. Seriously, shit. You ain't wrong,
They probably opened a separate bank account.
Yeah, you probably have.
I
Yeah, at
mean,
least five.
yeah, right. I mean, I don't get it, but we had all this stuff, and to see the stuff in like, is it Baltimore or it's in Maryland, I think. Um, that whole neighborhood that's just drug infested,
Hmm.
like Kensington.
Yeah, oh, Kensington.
Um,
Yeah.
uh, it's not like that in New York City,
Mm-mm.
and that's one thing I do like about being here is because the officers don't treat you like shit. No matter whether you look like shit or not, they respect you and say, "Hey, bud, what'd you take?"
Hmm.
And because they know the detection, so and they said, "Okay, well, is it okay if we give you something up your nostril and then you'll be okay? Otherwise, we're gonna have to take you to the hospital." Nobody wants to go to the hospital, so
No.
of course they say yes. And I've done it 8 times on 8 different people on the way to work
Oh my gosh. You've administered Narcan
because it's
eight
a good
times on your way to
Samaritan.
work.
Yeah, yep. Because
Wow.
I carry 2 on my back every single day. And that company they actually sent me an email asking me why I needed so many. And I said because I am literally saving people that are falling over. But the drug problem isn't as bad in Manhattan. Now, in other boroughs, I don't know.
Yeah.
But in Manhattan, it's not as bad as it was. It used to be just people high as a kite.
Yep. Yep. Well, so that's kind of like the next piece of this, and then I'll let you go. Is we talk a lot about Narcan and getting free Narcan and how great the drug is, which it absolutely is. It saves lives, and thank God for that. That
Right.
said, what do you think the government should do? Continue pushing and giving free Narcan out, of course. What do you think they should do to stop the opioid addiction? Right? Because we're looking at it and saying, okay, you've OD'd, we're going to save your life, but then I'd put $100 on it that you're going to see that guy again, no question, for the
Absolutely.
most part,
Yeah.
like 90% of the time, right? And so it's saying, well, what do we do to fix the problem versus just maintain life for people who have the problem?
Well, okay, it goes back to the money. Follow the money, because
Right.
I think that money could be used for, people to, if they decided, I don't think they know shit for shit, to be honest. And I think they need to be educated, and I think they need to know that if somebody needs to be an inpatient or if somebody can do, outpatient treatment. And if they're doing that treatment and taking Suboxone, then I think they should do that. That would be less cost for them, and they'd be able to get a lot of people in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then people that need inpatient, then maybe they could see how they could work that out. I don't know. But I don't know how much they were granted either. But I know it was a lot of money.
Oh, it was a lot. I mean, I think they had 500 billion earmarked from the budget to go towards addiction and treatment of addiction, and then states got that funds, and then states got additional funds from the opioid lawsuit on top of it. And so the states are dictating it. And so we see grants all the time for recovery delivered, but it's all for nonprofits. And my thought continuously is, yeah, I love nonprofits. I support many of the addiction nonprofits that I know of and support them along with others. At the same time, the government can't take something over because the government can't run a fucking mail system, let alone a recovery organization
Absolutely.
across the country. So it's like, to me, because there are people who need inpatient that are heavy users, have a lot of trauma. It's not just, it's something like alcohol or, the heavy shit like Xanax and stuff like that, that a detox at home for them is not a good idea. They're very, very dangerous. So what if we took that and said, okay, you're going to
And
have
see,
companies come across the country and do it for you?
I think that would be a good idea
Mm-hmm.
if it was people that were vetted.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh tons of.
Yeah.
Well, so it's funny. I'm learning about this. I'm learning about federal workman's comp, and federal workman's comp has this thing where if you screw up as a federal workman's comp doctor, clinic, organization, you go to prison. It's not like a little $200,000 fine
Oh
and you're
yeah,
back at it again. No, you're in prison for a long time. It's not the fancy ones either. It's in the scary ones.
I know. I watched the documentaries on Netflix or somewhere where there was a doctor that was just overwriting scripts. As long as you had an MRI, it didn't matter if you had any kind of fracture or anything. He
Mm-hmm.
was just writing you the same scripts: OxyContin, Soma, and Xanax. That's it. And
Jeez.
and I just feel like like in my situation where I actually need the anxiety medicine, I can't get it. They're going to look at me like I'm crazy. And
Yeah.
my doctor, he canceled before I started Recovery Delivered. He said I can only do it 3 more months because the federal government shut me down. Otherwise, I do it for life.
Yep.
And I said, and so he did what he said he was going to do. And then I found, thankfully, I talked to Nicole previously, but she said talk to Rachel at Recovery Delivered, and she'll get you hooked up.
Yep.
I said I'll definitely do it.
Nice.
So
Excellent. Well, I'm glad you did. I really am. It's you are one of those beacons, Matt, of hope when it comes to recovery and all the things that you do. If you would please shout out all your socials, your TikTok, YouTube, all of it. Put it all out there so everyone can see it, and I'll make sure this becomes a clip.
all right, sounds good. Yeah,
Excellent.
because I mean, it goes a long way on social media, and I'm trying to start different platforms on the different networks. So we'll see what we can do, and hopefully we can grow.
Give them the Facebook group. What's the name of it?
The Addiction Support Group.
There it is. Link is down here if you folks want to look at it. It's a great organization, great bunch of people in there helping each other. No bullshit, no drama, no any of that nonsense. It's legit help. So if you want to join, I highly recommend it. You'll see Matt and myself in that group as well. So, Matt, anything else you want to say before we take off?
Just for everyone to sit down and consider getting sober because it's a lot better. You're not going to make it doing it the way you're doing it, and there's a lot better options out there like Recovery Delivered. And I'm not just saying that because you could be Microsoft, and if you did shitty work, I'm not gonna endorse you. So
Right.
I think that this really helps a lot of people, and I think it's probably, is it not, like, I know there's several others, but they're all wishy-washy. So are you guys number one?
Yeah, we're the largest one. We were also the first one. So we were the first MAT online program. And then when COVID hit, everyone followed in our footsteps and went, oh shit, there's lots of money to be made here. Although, funny story, in 2020, we actually lost money because when they shut down the country, they shut down clinics. And so people couldn't get access to their doctor to get Suboxone.
Yeah.
And so we took them and just said, if you can pay, pay. If you can't, you can't. And we lost a lot of money that year that my co-founder and I had to plug in because we were like, well, people, if they go off this medication, they're going to use. And likelihood of them overdosing, if they do that, is pretty high, given the amount of fentanyl in all around the country, even in 2020. And so we took that hit, and then all of a sudden here,
Absolutely.
4 or 5 others that popped up, and it's like, they're not bad companies. I'm not going to trash them. They do good work. They do. But there's a couple of them that are a little on the shady side when it comes to drug testing and certain aspects of protocol that is recommended by the United States government into treating opioid addiction. And so I'm proud of what we built, and I'm glad to have you as a patient, Matt. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Awesome. We'll talk to you soon, buddy. Take it easy.
All right. You too. Bye-bye.
See ya.